Hi and welcome to a new video. My name is Laura and I don't know what I do. And I romanticize my life as I try to get back to my hobbies that I ended up dropping due to ADHD burnout. And welcome to a new week. So in my last vlog, I have mentioned that I finished You Made a Fool Out of Death with Your Beauty by Akaweki Emezi. And this means that for the Bloomin' Readathon that Allison Pages hosts here on YouTube, I have one more space left, and it is the tree space, which means it is time to start braiding sweetgrass. Honestly, I didn't mean to make such a big production of like introducing my nonfiction book, but I'm not a nonfiction girly, so I really had to make sure that I read all the good books that I wanted to read, I guess, so that if I were to end this month with a book that I absolutely hated, at least I got some good ones in, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm gonna hate this book because it's about indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teaching of plants is what the cover says. And I'm actually very, very interested in that subject, specifically since I started learning about curanderismo, which is a big part of my thesis. So everything comes full circle in my life in a sense. So we're continuing that. So I do have high hopes for this book. So let's hope it doesn't let me down. If you are new here, I lately have been dealing with a very big depressive episode, I guess I could call it. But I've dedicated this entire month basically on self-care and reading for self-care, which I'm glad I didn't burn out when it came to reading. And I am finally ready to get back to working on my thesis. I'm not forcing myself. I was naturally gravitating towards my thesis, which means like my body and my mind are ready to get back into the flow of it. Usually when I have executive function issues, that means that I am burning out or I already am burnout, and my executive is functioning. As I like to say. So right now, I actually mentioned to check off one thing of my list in the last vlog. So I'm going little by little to what the easier things are. I'm hoping to check off 2 more by the end of this vlog. Happy Monday, by the way. Today is Monday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Today is actually the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so I am going to cut my work day short because I can. I have been diligently working on my thesis, thank goodness. I have made some progress, but not, the progress that I actually really want to make. So I've been making progress, but tell me why every time I cross something off my list, I end up adding like 3 more tasks. It makes no sense. I have been just dividing one task into smaller tasks, but I am a little overwhelming myself, so your girl just needs to slow down. I think I'm gonna have to reach out to my thesis director to push back my due date in our meeting, maybe a week or 2. Just because I don't want to have to rush this edit and turn in poor quality. That's never my goal. I know I'm going to be editing, but I want to still turn in good work so that the next time I get notes, they're not that heavy, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's just November has just been a really weird month, but this week is about vacation. It's a holiday. For a reading update, I can't remember if I mentioned it in my last clip, but I was going to read Braiding Sweetgrass And while I was reading the first couple pages, I realized that I did not want to be lectured at the moment. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and use the essays and articles that I've been reading for my thesis as the nonfiction section of my Bloomin' Readathon board. And I actually picked up Lonely Castle in the Mirror, and I'm only I think 15 pages in, and I'm already really invested, and I think this is going to be another novel that is going to break me. So I'm excited about that. And it is one of my top 10 books that I wanted to get to before the year is over, so I'm glad that I finally got to it. Okay, hi, good morning. Today is Friday. It's actually Black Friday, so I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrated. Thanksgiving for the first time was at our house this year, and it was kind of like a last minute thing because the usual host decided to go to Vegas because it's also her birthday. So we were all like, well, we don't know what to do. And everyone last minute just decided to come over here, and we didn't have a turkey, but we still had a great time. That was really fun. Today, I'm not going to be doing much. I'm just going to be hanging out with my sisters and hopefully reading, catching up on my reading. So I just wanted to give a quick reading update. I don't know what I mentioned last time. I don't know what book I was supposed to be reading from any of my last clips, but I actually picked up Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki, and I'm not gonna pronounce their last name. Anyways, so I picked up Lonely Castle in the Mirror, and I actually had high hopes for this book. I know that it's magical realism. I had heard other amazing things about it, so I was really excited to pick it up. And I'm a little, I don't know, upset just because I am over 100 pages in, and it's disappointing of how underwhelming it is at the moment. I am really hoping that it picks up soon, or I'm really hoping that it picks up in the middle of the book to meet my expectations, because if not, I will be a little upset. Luckily, it is still good enough for me to keep reading it. I'm not going to DNF it, but I guess my own expectations were a little too high that I'm disappointed at the moment. So fingers crossed that it picks up for sure. What I do like about it though is that it's really giving A Tale for a Time Being vibes, because that book also talked about loneliness in a way, and I really love A Tale for a Time Being. Ruth Oseki's work is really good. So because it's giving me the same vibes, that's another reason why I want to still give it a try, but we'll see. So that is my reading update, and since it is also the weekend, I will not be focusing on my thesis right now, so I should be able to finish this book by the end of this vlog. Happy Friday. Welcome to different day, same sweater. It is Saturday, and I finished Lonely Castle in the Mirror, and boy was it a ride of emotions. So as I mentioned in my last clip, I was actually kind of worried that my expectations weren't going to be met because the first couple pages that I was already reading were kind of slow. And oh, how the turntables, It was a roller coaster of emotions. I didn't fully cry, but there were a lot of moments where I just held in a sob and everything. I don't know how to explain it. I'm happy that it did live up to my expectations. I was not expecting where the plot was gonna go. So every turn, I was just like, I was just surprised at every turn, and it was a great read. And if you still haven't read A Lonely Castle in the Mirror, I 100% recommend it. 100%. Currently, it is sitting in my favorites shelf. It's kind of nice to know that in 1 month, there are now 2 books on my favorites shelf. That is actually pretty cool. pretty cool. So now I don't know, because I'm technically done with the Bloomin' Readathon. So the books that I had set aside for that are all done, and now I don't know what to read. So I'm actually kind of stuck between A Lullaby for Witches by Hester Fox and Arráncame la Vida by Ángeles Mastretta. And I can't decide, especially because since this is obviously in Spanish. I know even though it's a smaller book, it's gonna probably take me a long time to read it, and I am doubling down on my thesis work next week, so I kind of don't really want to spend a lot of time focusing on a book. Okay, that decides it. Never mind. The next book I'm going to read is A Lullaby for Witches. However, I'm not going to start this until probably Sunday, because today I'm going to focus on cleaning my depression room. I have a lot more energy. I'm feeling a lot better, thankfully. So now I actually have the energy to clean my room, hopefully do laundry, and if not, organize my laundry for when I'm ready to do laundry. My sisters and I are actually going out with a cousin that's in town, so I also have to get ready for that and everything. So I probably I can't make time for reading, or else I'll never get anything done. So yeah, I should start this on Sunday.
Would you lie? No. Would you cry? No. Something behind my back and try to cover it up. Well, you and I, baby. Van a morir a vivir, tenerme.
Louder.
Pero la puerta no es la culpable.
Today's Tuesday, and as you guys saw, I was with my sisters over the weekend. I spent the night all weekend, so by the time I actually came home on Monday, I just, didn't really feel like doing anything. So me and my sisters we just bummed it out on Monday. Again. It's really funny because I DNF'd A Lullaby for Witches by Hester Fox because I just was not feeling the writing style for it. It was just very it just felt very fake deep, ooh, I'm a witch and I talk to the moon, and I've read books about witches before that didn't sound so And it's weird because I really liked her book, The Heir to the Blackwood Library, and I didn't get that sense. I didn't get bad writing off of that book, so that was weird. Today's only the 28th. Today's Tuesday. Friday's gonna be the 1st of December, and for some reason, I kinda just don't want to read right now. I kind of just want to finish off the month, I guess. Not necessarily taking a mental break, because it's not that it's not that I'm burned out or anything. Nothing interests me right now. Like every time I look at my TBR bookshelf back here, nothing is grabbing my attention that I would want to pick up right now. Except, oddly enough, for some reason, I started reading, if you could see it right there. For some reason, I started reading The Divine Comedy. I think it's because I accidentally left my classic Penguin Deluxe edition in the apartment before I moved out. So when I was over there over the weekend, I forgot to bring my own book, and while I waited for my sisters to wake up, I saw it there and picked it up. So I started reading The Divine Comedy, and that's like the only thing I want to read. And I mean, okay, like I read classics, it's not that weird, but it is, I guess in my head it is still kind of weird that I'm reading it. I don't know. I obviously don't expect to finish The Divine Comedy by December 1st. This is definitely gonna be a book that I pick up in between other books, especially because I've mentioned this in other vlogs, but classics really slow me down, and sometimes that tires me to the point that I just want to pick up another book. So I pause on the classic and then read the other book and then come back to it. So that's definitely going to be an in-between book. And then also, I literally realized while I was in Canto 3 that this isn't even the translation that I'm used to. I don't know the name of the translators that everybody knows or whatever, but I came to Canto 3 and it had a transcript, it had writing on the gate, right? And I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. So does that mean every gate has a little quote before they enter it? Because as I kept reading, they were already in limbo. For those of you who don't know Dante's Inferno, he goes through hell, purgatory, and then heaven, and they go through limbo first before they officially get to hell. And I was reading all the stuff that happens in limbo, and then I kept reading and he's literally about to enter hell, and I was very confused because I was waiting for the famous quote, "Abandon all hope, ye who enters here," right? And I had to Google it. I had to Google when it comes up, and it turns out that that inscription that I thought was like, oh, okay, so limbo's gonna have one, hell's gonna have one, so on and so forth, that was it. It was just translated differently. And I was so confused. I'm a little upset that I didn't read that one, especially because I'm riding a high of just finished watching As Above, So Below, but whatever, you know. I do technically have another edition of The Divine Comedy that has the right translation, but I don't know where it is. I think my dad has it. And it's also hardcover, and it's already a big boy, so it's a lot easier to read. So I'm just gonna stick through it. I'm not reading it for any of my classes or anything like that, so I guess the translation doesn't really matter for me at the moment. I just want to read it. I've never actually read Purgatory or Heaven, so I am excited to get to there. I read all of Inferno, but I've never actually read the other two, so I can't wait. So yeah, I'm hoping that since I'm not reading, I can make some progress on my thesis. I have 4 things left to do on my to-do list, but every time I start working on it, I get the feeling of a panic attack coming, and then I just waste my time just like trying to calm down from it and end up doing just like the bare minimum work. So I'm not having a great time. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I am just not having a great time working on my thesis at the moment. I don't know if it's because it's ending soon. Like, these are literally the last couple of edits that I have to do, and it's like unconsciously making me really nervous, or I don't know, but my executive is dysfunctioning in terms of just my thesis again, and I'm not completely depressed anymore. I feel better. I feel more relaxed. My energy is a lot higher, but it Just something always happens when I sit down to actually work on my thesis, and I'm getting really frustrated. So I think, even though I literally just wrote it down on my planner, I think I'm gonna have to ask my thesis director if we can move our meetings so I could have more time to actually work on it, because if I were to keep our original date, I don't think I would turn in quality work, and that's just gonna make me feel worse. So moving the date is a form of self-care for me. Giving me extra time is a form of self-care for me. I don't know when I'm gonna post this video, either Wednesday or Thursday, but I'm really tempted to do December dailies. This is a concept that I saw from Annabelle, who was formerly Cat Creature. Her YouTube channel now goes by her whole name, Annabelle Gao. And I loved watching her December dailies. And ever since I saw her channel 3-4 years ago, I wanted to do something like that. And now that I'm actually, pursuing this platform, I'm getting the itch again. But I'm just kind of stuck between the insecurity of are people gonna actually watch this or not? So I just have to remind myself that I'm doing this for me. This is for me, and if people watch it or not, it doesn't matter, because I'm doing this for me. I mean, it does low-key matter, but you know what I mean, right? Okay, anyways. So this is where this vlog ends. I don't know if I made it clear, but I am going to try to do December dailies. What will most likely happen is that I am going to upload the video the day after. So for example, December 1st, you'll see on December 2nd, and so on and so forth. I think that just makes more sense because the publishing time period on my computer just takes so long. So by the time I edit and publish it, that's how it will most likely happen. And the first episode will most likely be the longest, because I am also going to include Thursday footage, since this vlog is obviously over. So if you like this video, please give it a like. And if this is where we part, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.